Hello, I'm a nerd who just saw the first trailer for the upcoming Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, and as such I have a few theories. It should be noted, however, that some of these theories are more serious than others, but I'm not going to tell you which is which because what's the fun in that? Okay, so since this is like the third time that this saga has supposedly ended, let's begin by looking at how the title for Episode 9 compares to the titles for the previous two trilogy enders. An interesting thing to note here is that Episode 9 is the only one of these three movies to begin with an article. However, when we ignore articles, we'll note that all three titles begin with the letter R. What this would suggest to me is that this whole saga has ultimately been about a character whose name begins with the letter R. If we were just thinking about this trilogy, I think our first instinct would be to think that that character is either Rey or Kylo Ren. However, these characters didn't really exist in the story until this trilogy. No, instead, I think we all know that the real main character of the saga is none other than R2-D2. He's been laying low in these recent movies, and I mean, R2-D2 didn't even show up in the new trailer. However, I think that's just a red herring. He's actually going to show up in this one and finally save the day like we all know he's destined to. Of course, it could be that the movies aren't about a character whose name starts with R at all. So maybe we should look at the rest of the title. I mean, who is this Skywalker that's supposedly rising? Let's see. Luke is dead. Kylo Ren is technically a Solo. Leia is technically an Organa. And Rey is still, for all intents and purposes, of unknown parentage. Which leads me to initially think that maybe there isn't one. However, there is a Skywalker who we always forget about. And I think he's the Skywalker who will rise in this one. And that is C-3PO. Now, I will confess that C-3PO is one of my personal favorite characters, so I might be a little biased. But think about it. Anakin built 3PO before Luke and Leia could have even been a possibility. 3PO has the first spoken words in the original Star Wars.
Did you hear that?
And the actor who plays C-3PO, Anthony Daniels, is the only actor to have been in every live-action Star Wars movie. This would suggest to me that the story is going to be about C-3PO finally rising to the occasion, and rather than just being the neurotic observer that he normally is, he's going to finally do something useful for once. My guess is that the planet where they find that Death Star wreckage is actually more of a moon, and that moon is Endor, so it's the second Death Star. And it is known that the Ewoks of Endor kind of like C-3PO.
I do believe they think I am some sort of god.
So from this, we can figure that C-3PO will have to talk to the Ewoks again, and they'll have to work together to find out whatever is in that Death Star. But hold up, what's the actual deal with the Death Star? What are they going to find there?
Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory.
Well, let's see. If this is the second Death Star, like I believe it is, it's possible that it has become a sort of tomb for Emperor Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious, who is so powerful with the Force that he's stayed alive this whole time, and has been pulling all sorts of strings. Like Anakin before her, Rey has been conceived by Palpatine through the Force, but this time she maybe didn't even need to have a mother, so that's why we don't know who her parents are. She just doesn't have any. Additionally, this can explain why Rey is so naturally gifted to the Force and drawn to the dark side. However, she continually chooses the light because she is stronger than Palpatine. Also, Snoke was never actually powerful and may not have even been Force sensitive. He was simply a pawn used by Palpatine to manipulate and control things without appearing himself. He may have even been someone who we've heard of before, like Master Cypher and Palpatine has been keeping the guy alive for decades, just in case. Speaking of Cypher Palpatine is going to come back in a cloned body, a la the old expanded universe, and he's going to cause a bunch of problems until Rey teamed up with Luke, Kylo Ren, and C-3PO, defeat him once and for all. And then Rocket Raccoon will come in, steal some batteries, and everyone will live happily ever after. The end. That was a lot of theories to get through. And I didn't even get to talk about my theory about the wrappy things on Rey's arms and her constant ongoing struggle with Jakku-born eczema. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this dangerous walk down movie theory lane, and I hope you come back next week where we'll be discussing whether Shazam or Captain Marvel would win in a fight. In the meantime, feel free to read my webcomics, Brandy to Hex or Polarnoids, and check out my shop where you can get a B-Things mug, some t-shirts, and even a pretty witchin' skateboard. Be seeing you!